Welcome to the Jaden Show. I'm Jaden Cornelious, and I have the most amazing show for you today. So get your cheese sandwich, get your what's it, buckle up, kids, get the most comfortable position in front of your screen because you are in for a wonderful, wonderful show. I'm going all the way back to my Blighty, to good old Blighty, to meet one of the most amazing singer-songwriters, producers. I mean, the boy has done everything with everyone and is continuing to keep his legacy going. His name's Junior Giscombe, and you're going to meet him in a little while. Now, if you remember his hit, one of his first hits from back in the day in the 80s, you are going to be dancing around your coffee table or your computer desk to this song. This is Mama Used to Say. This is Junior. Now, all good things come to those that wait, and I can tell you that today's interview is definitely worth the wait. So another couple of minutes makes no difference. Why? Because we are going to go to a Jaden Show commercial break. Hey guys, I wanted to take this opportunity to let you know about the Jaden Show commercial break starting now. This is amazing news because now every single week you have a couple of minutes to be able to advertise something you want to advertise. So if you have a business, if you have an event coming up, if you have a new album, art gallery, or anything you want to particularly advertise on a show, this is your chance to do it. March and April 2024, the advertisements are free, so please let me know. Get in touch to me on Jaden Cornelious at AOL.com. It will be wonderful to hear from you. If you are a charity or a charitable organization or a non-profit and you are advertising something with regards to that, then always your advertising is free. So let me know. You will need to send me between a 1 and 2 minute video around that time, if possible, something that you want to advertise, and I will fit it into this spot. Get on. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye. Well, you lovely kiddywinkles, you. It is the time you have all been waiting for. Let's go and meet today's incredible special guest, the amazing Junior. Junior Giscombe, oh my goodness, mates. How are you? And welcome to the Jaden Show and to Mexico as well, actually.
Hey, thank you very much, man. I went to Mexico. I've been to Mexico a few times.
Really? Where'd you go?
I went to Cancun.
Okay.
Mate, back in the day, came over, did a show, and then went back with my wife about 4 or 5 years ago.
Nice, mate. I used to live, at the moment, I'm literally on the other side of the country above Guatemala, but I live like 20 minutes south of Cancun. So okay. I still got my place there. I'm just kind of prefer the climate. I'm not a tropical boy, mate. I'm too British.
Oh, you poor son.
Oh, mate, 24 hours sweating is enough for me. Like, you know, you get up for a wee at 3 a.m. and you start sweating. I'm like, no, man, I can't do this.
Can't do this.
No. So now I live where it's still bloody hot. It's like the best of English weather. So it's still in like the mid to late 20s every day. But the nights can go down to like 16, 17, 18, which is
nice.
Spot on, mate.
Nice.
Spot on. But anyway, it's not about me in Mexico. It's about you. So, mate, I remember you back in the day from obviously that everyone will know you from. It's probably I'm going to say obviously Mama used to say take your time, young man. Tune and 3/4. Do you still when people talk about that song, I mean, because you've done obviously so much more music than that, do you go, oh my god, not that same bloody tune, or do you go, nah man, I was kicking ass with that song? How does that song make you feel now?
I think it's great. Can you imagine 40 odd years on and people still sing that song? Radio stations still play that song. Right? You know, people will say like, you know, do you know Junior? And you're like, no. And then you say, and Mama used to say, yeah. I know him. What can I say? I feel blessed. So
it's phenomenal, man. Did you ever imagine that would happen when you first cracked that single?
When I first did the single, it died a death.
Really?
Absolutely. It did one of those nosedives, you know.
Wow.
Died a death. Came out the 27th of July, 1981.
Okay.
Died a death. And then I went on tour with a band called Lynx, if you can remember them.
Yep.
I went out on tour with Lynx. Came off of a tour, which would have been January. And by the end of January, everywhere in America, in France, in Germany, were just playing this song. So it spiraled from being a nosedive, summer of 81 into 82, becoming a huge hit everywhere in the world. And I always remember my mum, at the time, God rest her soul, right, she turned around and she said to me when it died, she turned and she said to me, how do you feel? And I said, oh, I feel terrible. I mean, will they give me another shot? Will they allow me to make another record? Right? I had all of these different things going on in my head.
Yeah.
And she turned and she said, Junior, people around the world say mama, you know. Didn't even dawn on me. Because mama was just an easy way of saying mother to me.
Yeah.
So it never dawned on me that in Mexico people say mama. In France people say mama. In Brazil people say mama. In all of these countries, right, around the world, Italy, it just became huge because it was mama. It wasn't mother used to say,
No.
mama used to say. So,
or mummy used to say.
you know, say my mummy used to say.
Love it.
It was great. It was just I never thought that it would happen like it happened. But it took me on a fantastic journey. Incredible journey, that record.
Mate. Well, you were one of the very, very first UK R&B acts, male singers, to really kick ass in the States as well. That must have been huge.
It was. I mean, if you can imagine, nobody else had actually kicked in that way at that time.
Yeah.
So to be the first to do Soul Train, the only other artist from the UK who had done Soul Train was David Bowie with Golden Years.
Wow.
So, you know what I'm saying? So to be the first, right, to do Soul Train, to be the first to do all kinds of different stuff all over the world because of that song was just amazing.
Amazing, mate. Your CV must be off the scale, mate.
Oh yeah, just a little.
Was Beverly Hills Cop soundtrack?
Yep, that was amazing too, because that was another. I was in a hotel in, I think it was Texas, and below me, right underneath me was Eddie Murphy. He was staying in the room right below.
Wow.
And in my room, I had some giant speakers and stuff. You know, being a musician, this is what I want in my room. Yeah. And they got it for me. So I just finished doing my second album. So I put the album on, turned it up as loud as I could. He's stomping around the room, doing everything, singing along, making up the most noise, hoping that he'd come upstairs, knock on the door and say,
shut up or join in.
You know what I'm saying? One out of two.
Yeah.
4 days. Never happened. So I thought to myself, you know what? To hell with this. Took the album, pushed it underneath his door, left and went to New York, had a show in New York, did the show in New York, came back to England 2 days later, got a phone call from the record company, and they turned and they just said, there's some guy called Eddie Murphy making a movie. And from they said, there's some guy called Eddie Murphy, I knew they had no idea.
No.
Some guy called Eddie Murphy has gone in contact with us and said that he wants you to do a song for his film. You've got a week. Wow. So I turned around and I thought, what? You got a week? So I wrote, Do You Really Want My Love? In my bedroom. Sweet. On a Fostex 8-track, right? Mixed it myself, got Glenn Nightingale to come in and play some guitar on it, and did everything, sent it to them, one of my joys of life, sent it to them, and the 8-track demo was what was in the actual film. When it came to actually recording the track, Stevie Wonder was over, and I asked him if he'd play drums. So it was the first session that Stevie had done playing drums for anybody.
Mate,
so that was just, I mean, the film became #1 film all over the world. The album sold over 170 million copies worldwide. Right? So it just kind of like took me on another journey. Well,
oh my, to the bloody moon, mate. Most people say, you know, what was the highlight of your career? Well, I played at the Dog and Duck in Aldershot, and it was really lovely. What was the highlight of your career? Well, it might have been when Stevie Wonder played drums. No, it was definitely...
No, it wasn't that one. Maybe it was when I worked with Bill Lynott. No, it wasn't that one. Maybe it was when Lemmy came in and started singing on the track music. No, it's not that one. Maybe it was one of those things. It just blew up and just gave me a chance to work with and meet, talk to, understand more about the business that I was in.
Yeah. And it was a very different business then.
Very different.
Very different. Do you ever
I mean,
sit back and kind of? Do you ever sit back now and go, "Oh man, did that happen to me?" I mean, like, I had a little bit of success in the '90s. I was signed to BMG, and so was doing things that I'd never dreamt possible. Not
right.
even to the scale of you, but just like, little things that I was like, "Oh man, I'm doing London Fashion Week, and I'm on Blue."
Oh, right.
I was Blue Peter's first musical documentary. That's the only thing.
Oh, go there, go there,
And
go
I've
there.
got a Blue Peter badge from Diane. I've got Diane Louise Jordan's Blue Peter badge. So I'm afraid
Get out.
you can't match that, mate. But
You can't. Well, no, I can't actually. No, no.
but you know what? I kind of sit
Hands up.
back sometimes because, like, we were doing it all before social media. You even more so. I was doing it in the '90s. You was doing it in the '80s.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, for me, there wasn't really anything substantial that was like, unless it was some VHS camera or the video that like the company produced.
Right.
That I can sit back and when I watch it now, I'm like, "Rah, man, that's like my son." Like, I don't even remember who I was then. It was that long ago. How do you feel when you look back? Are you still kind of like, because you're really youthful at heart, I love your vibe, but do you sit back and go, man, that was like last Tuesday, or like, that was a whole life ago, mate?
It was a whole lifetime ago. I look at things that I've done, like when I did the video for Mama Used to Say, for instance, and the guy who did it with me, who produced the actual video, was really left of centre as an individual. He'd wear different socks. This is 1981, 82.
Right, yeah.
He'd have on a red socks and a blue socks. His trousers would be torn on one side, and this is a multi-millionaire. And I'm like, right. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But mindset-wise, he was right down my alley, left of centre. Let's not do anything that anybody's seen before. Let's do something completely different. Let's do something that states who you are, Judy. So when we were the first to use chroma key in video.
Okay.
Which was, white screen, black screen, whatever it is now. Yeah. Right? We were the first to use that in a video. And then everybody else started to follow. What's that? Take On Me. They did it as, that lot did it. And They all started to use it after we did it with Mama Used to Say. The whole thing of not actually knowing where you are. You're being told you're on a road. So dance like if you're on a road.
Right.
And you can't see it until when you've done it. And then you go back and you realize it's like a cartoon. This is fantastic.
Amazing.
And then your mind goes into this whole place of, I don't care, I'm just going to let go.
Yeah.
So you're doing this video, not really knowing what you're doing. You're just having fun. And then you see it back when it's edited and stuff like that. And it was just amazing to me. It was, we're sitting on cardboard boxes when I'm supposed to be walking down the stairs. It's a cardboard box that I'm sitting on. But because it's all been drawn in, it looks like I'm within a house. Pushing the windows open. There was no window there. Just make that move like if you're doing it.
Wow.
So, it was brilliant. And if you can imagine, that was all, this is 81, 82, man. Do you know what I'm saying?
Back in the day, yeah.
Exactly. So you're way ahead of anything that's happening, but you don't realize it because of the fact, like at the time, it was just an expression of who you were. You just wanted to have fun, express yourself.
Did the video come after? Was the video with the nosedive, or the video was when it got re-released and kind of just went cray-cray?
Well, the video was before it went, We did the video before. Yeah, we did the video before it kicked in.
Why do you think it kind of nosedived once and then just went out of control? Do you think it was maybe too advanced just for people to grasp at the time?
No, I think what it was that, like, at that time in England, a load of different DJs were running things. So I won't name names because they're still alive, but they used to run things. So it was a bit like, you're English, so you're not supposed to be able to make a record that sounds as good as in America. Yeah. So my record comes out, it's not good enough, it's too ambient, it's too this, it's too that. And the record goes to America, becomes huge, comes back to England, and every one of those DJs, I knew it was a great record. Oh, listen, all it needed was a remix. We were the first to do a remix. Nobody even knew about remixes at that time, right? And the remix wasn't like it was in the 90s, where you just take the vocals and you just do everything. A remix was you had the whole track, the whole 24 track, and you had to make that sound and change it into something different to what we had done, Bob and I had done. So it was, to me, a much better way to express, opposed to, you can get a person turns around, give me your vocals, and then they put a rhythm track on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas back in those days when we started, it was give me the 24 track master.
Yeah. So you couldn't send the stems by bloody WeTransfer.
Come on, like none of that stuff, mate.
It was. I remember my first time in the studio was these huge, like reel-to-reel stuff, and young lads there with their kind of their sellotape and their scissors, and that was how you sort out a track. It was like
it was brilliant. Back in, I loved it back then because of the fact that like we were using analog, it weren't digital.
Yeah.
Right, and analog had a much warmer sound. Still does to me. Right, and maybe it's because I'm an old fogey, but the digital side of things to me is too clean, too clinical.
Yeah.
The metronome stuff, right, takes away from the actual feel of music.
Absolutely.
Right? When we started to move things from in the 80s into drum machines, then it went to the laptop, or should I say the computer.
Yeah.
Being synced up with the keyboard. So then you didn't need a keyboard player, you didn't need a drummer. Then you could sync up the bass. So then you didn't need a bass player. So then you could sync up the guitars, because by that time people were sampling guitars and putting them up, so you could sample pieces and put them into your track. So to be honest, the 80s moving into the 90s moved everything away from it being about people coming together making music. And that was a shame, because music was always about people coming together, and there's this fusion of ideas and thoughts and stuff like that.
And the energy is different. You don't get that. No, you don't get that.
You don't get that real energy, like when people, I love to play live. Yeah, I love playing live, because when you play live, you got your band. Yeah. And I normally, when I do my thing, we may rehearse it one way, but when we come to play it, however I'm feeling on that night, right? Because every night's going to be different. So, and I like that, because it means that if you came on Monday and then you came on Wednesday, the two shows are going to be completely different.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're going to get your money's worth. You're not coming and seeing exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
I went out and toured with Michael Jackson, right? We did the Bag Tour.
Wow.
And, when I did that, it gave me the chance to see him, right, who was just a master at preciseness. He didn't walk anywhere. He wouldn't do anything off the cuff. Down to smiling, right? For him to smile, you knew where it was going to come every night. And standing up on the thing every night was exact, right? He was amazing, just amazing to watch that kind of artistry, right? But what it did for me was it made it that, like, I get that. We're playing to 80,000, 120,000 people, right? So going up there and being spontaneous, right, about what you're doing, that's not your show. Your show is about everybody being precise about where they walk, the dance routines, the chat. Everything in the chat was exactly the same every night. No movement away from it. Wow. So, it was an amazing experience to be able to go on stage and be able to be backstage, should I say. Get the chance to meet him, talk to him about all kinds of different stuff. But watching him as a musician, watching him as an artist was a true kind of mind-blowing experience. It's incredible. The same thing with when I met Stevie Wonder. It's the same kind of thing, right? Stevie's a lot more spontaneous, but at the same time, very much methodical. It's got to be this. It's got to be this, and he's really on
He
it.
can be flexible within his
Exactly.
regiment, kind of regimented.
It's like that regimented thing, but he can fly here and he can take it, right? And because everybody within the band knows it, and again, I went and saw, when I was a kid, I went and saw Miles Davis. And Miles Davis had his back turned to the audience the whole night. But he would just look at Herbie Hancock and Herbie start playing.
Wow.
And then he'd look at the guitarist and he'll start playing. Right? And then he'd stop. And everybody's like still playing, but they're looking at Miles. They're watching Miles. What's he going to do next? What's he going to... There was, again, all of these artists were showing me different ways to approach being on stage and being yourself more than anything else.
Yeah.
And that's what I got from it. It was like, I don't want to be like Michael Jackson. I don't want to be like Stevie Wonder. I don't want to be like Miles. I don't want to be
Junior.
I want to be Junior.
Yeah.
But what is Junior? Do you know what I'm saying? Right?
Yeah.
So you go out and you watch all of these various artists, right? And you start seeing who's unique and what is it about what they do that makes them unique.
Yeah.
Right? And you then find within your own music that you're actually unique in the way that you do what you do. So when people come to see you, they come to see something not like anything else. They're coming to
get a Junior experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what it took years, to be honest, to actually get to that place, to understand where you're at. It took me years to get there. But I think it was, and I'm not trying to throw up names, but it's just people I met along the way.
No, absolutely.
But it was Rick James, really. When I met Rick James, and Rick James told me what to expect on my first tour. And when we met up, he had seen a show that I'd done. And he came backstage and he started telling me how I should approach what I was doing. And at first I thought, who are you?
Yeah.
You know, I'm Junior, mate. What's wrong with you, you know? But it was all about trying to enhance what I was doing, help me to be a much better artist.
Yeah.
I was so thankful for him, for Stevie, for Aretha, for Gladys, for everybody that I met along the way who had something good to throw at me, to help me. Michael White. Yeah.
There are not many people, especially from England, but there are not many people that can sit down and say, well, my mentors were Gladys, Stevie, Aretha. I mean, that's just, and it's a, it's almost...
It's not trying to be, it's not trying to throw things out there like...
No, these were the top of their craft. And I guess it was the Hollywood of music, right? These were our legends, of our time that, you get a kid now and, and they think, oh my God, what was that group from Sweden? It wasn't ABBA. Like Ace of Base. Ace of Base is like classic music. Like, oh yeah, we listen to the classic mates. I like Ace of Base and Tiffany. And like, no, the classics were Stevie Wonder, Aretha Franklin.
Exactly.
These people Randy Crawford.
I did a session with Stevie when he was playing drums. And there's a part in Do You Really Want My Love, which is a Stevie Wonder lick that I do. Yeah. So he's playing drums, the lick comes up, and he nearly fell off his chair. He's cracking up, laughing. We had to rush in the studio and grab him up, right? Because he was right on the side like this. Incredible. But what it was, he cracked up and he said, you stole that from me. I stole that from this guy. This guy stole that from me. He could tell you the whole line where it all came from.
Sweet. Sharing is caring, man.
Don't we know it? Don't we know it, man? And he really did care. Do you know? And there were things, people like that. There were things that I would do, and somebody would turn around and say, oh, you've been listening to so-and-so. And I'm like, Jesus, how'd you know?
Wow.
Right? And it was that kind of thing. You begun to understand that, like, these people love music. They love their art form, right? And they want to help you, right, to be the best that you can be.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, in England at the time, there was nobody really there for you in that way. We didn't have any black artists that were successful, really. We didn't have anywhere in terms of commercial places that we could actually go be seen, be heard. We were always looked upon as second-class citizens in terms of the music that we made. It was never going to be appreciated by the white DJs who was playing it, because they always looked at us as not really being good enough.
Right.
We were relevant, but we weren't good enough. So when Mama broke, Mama took the whole thing to another level, because it wasn't down to them now, right? So they couldn't determine whether or not you were going to be successful, right? And that led to a bit of a kind of argy-bargy between myself and them.
I guess a few of their noses were out of joint, to be fair, as well.
Yeah, because all of a sudden, everybody, imagination comes along. The imagination's kicking it all over the world. Then you had Phil Ferron comes along. He's kicking it in different parts of the world. So
and then you've got five-star Jackie Graham.
Exactly, the whole thing started.
And at last we have good music.
Do you know what I'm saying? So the whole thing starts to travel. Whole thing starts to move. So it blows up. So now the DJ has to hold his corner and understand that you're supposed to be looking for people like Junior, people like David, to play to your audience, to show them that you're on top of things. You want to bring the best music that you're hearing out there to them. So for me, it was like in that regard, it was a hell of a journey. The brilliant journey.
You know, even in the 90s, like when we were getting record deals and stuff like that, there was still that element of complete racism as well. I was in a pop group called Beyond. It was two white boys and two white girls.
I remember
and we were mates. We weren't multiracial. We were mates. We were done, I think it was a Capital Radio Roadshow, and we'd had an interview, and they said, "So what's it like being like a multiracial band?" And we were like, "Oh shit, we are." You're my mate Elaine and you're my mate Stephen. Like we just, it was really interesting. Like the record company said, "You're great." Like what we had done as an unsigned group was, you know, we'd done so much for an unsigned group at the time,
right?
And the labels were just saying, "It's great, but you need to get a white girl in."
Yeah.
Why? Because you can't. Black people don't sell magazines, mate.
That's right.
No, tell that to bloody Diana Ross and Lou Fat. Of course they black. What, are you crazy?
Classic.
Can't grasp it at all, mate.
Classic. Here's another one for you. Classic. George Michael and myself, we were friends back in the day. We used to go to same clubs and stuff. When Mama broke, right, we were in a club, right, and George comes up and George says, "I want to make a record. I'm going to be bigger than you, Junior." I said, "Yeah, I know. Don't worry, George. It's all good." Right? "I'm going to be bigger than you, Junior." Right? "It's got to be Bob Carter. They're done," Mama used to say. So I said, "Really?" So I said, "Yeah, it's got to be Bob." I said, "Cool, no problem." Right? "I'm going to work with Bob Carter." Right? "Fine, no problem." He goes off and he works with Bob Carter on the first Wham record.
Yeah.
I see him a week after they've done the record. He rushes me. "You blah, 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 blah. It weren't him." "You told me it was him, you know." Hey, "It weren't him." So I said, "Well, so what are you going to do then?" "You tell me." So I said, "Well, work with the engineer." Right? So he said, "What?" I said, "Work with the engineer." So he goes off and he works with the engineer, and he'd been working with the same engineer for what, 25, 30 years? John, yeah. Right? Again, the mindset that was given was that this black guy can't be making that record, it's got to be on. And that was the kind of mindset that was going on during that early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, right? So when George realized, right, that what it was, he then got a keyboard player, right, who became his arranger, right, black guy. So that's why George's music had that real kind of R&B soul, because of the people that was making the music, right? He understood it wasn't about being white or black; it was about the soul that you had.
And soul doesn't have color. The soul, the spirit and the energy behind the music, right? The creation.
Color, right? And once he got that, that's when he flew. The whole Wham thing flew. Left Wham, did what he did. But he had to come away from the mindset of colour. It couldn't have been you because you're black. You're not supposed to be able to do that.
Can't get my head around it at all, mate.
Yeah, like, it was crazy. It was.
I mean, I was born in West London, so I was in a school. I mean, where I lived was predominantly, Asian, Indian.
Yeah.
So I was like one of the only white boys in most of my classes, actually, and I never ever noticed colour. Like, I know it sounds really stupid, and I'm not sure if that's something you can see, but I just kind of. It was just my mate, like Jasprit and Arnold, and
it's your
Paul
mate.
was the other white guy in my class. It was just like I never noticed it. Yeah, so and for me, I was always in. I mean, I was the hugest. I mean, when me and Stead became like best mates back in the day from 5 Star, like I was like such. I wanted to be. I didn't know if I wanted to marry Doris or be Doris. I just wanted to be in 5 Star. That was my dream, mate. Rain or shine. I still sing it. I still sing Rain or Shine and Systematic in my shows now, which is hilarious.
Brilliant.
They were
absolutely brilliant, mate.
It was probably one of the most difficult times for musicians. Yeah. But one of the most authentic, real, fucking class times for music in that era.
I think a lot of it, as I said, when I look back, it's like looking back at a younger Junior and what he and others had to go through to get their music across. I now laugh and smile because it's like the energy and the pump and the drive that we all had to try and make it. And also, it wasn't record companies were looking at colour, promotion people, marketing people, they looked at colour.
Everyone did.
We were bothered with colour.
Magazine editors.
Yeah, they were all looking at colour. We didn't have any time for colour. We only had time for soul. Have you got that vibe? I don't care whether you're white, Indian, Chinese, black. I don't care where you come from. Have you got that soul? Have you got that vibe? Right? So you would work with people who were coming from completely different ends from you. I'm South, right? So a South London boy, completely different kind of vibe from coming from East London.
Absolutely.
Right? And a completely different vibe from North London. But that was the beauty of it.
Yeah.
People had this different kind of vibe. So when we worked together, it was like a bit of a fusion. Well, not a bit. It was a fusion.
Yeah.
Right? So you're after getting something that like, shit, I'm going to make him smile. I'm going to make him cry. I'm going to make him dance. You were coming from that kind of mindset.
Yeah.
The industry didn't understand it. We had people coming from university, never really been around black people. I went into a meeting. I'm having a meeting with people at the record company. And we came out of the meeting and they turned and they said, we've never met an articulate black guy. I'm like, hold on a minute, but you've been going to university. So you trying to tell me there ain't no black guys in university? Right? What are you trying to tell me? You're going to these places. I turned around and asked my A&R man to follow me down to Brixton, right? And come to a blues.
I used to go clubbing in the region back in that day.
There you go.
You get what I'm
saying? Yeah. Right. So I turned and I said to him, come down to Brixton, right? And you'll hear where my music's played. You'll see the reaction to it. So it gives you a better understanding of who I am. Yeah. So you don't come with stupidness like work with Winstanley and Langer.
Or with your South Kensington attitude.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It was like, get rid of that.
Yeah.
My man sat in his chair and he started laughing. He said to me, what? Come to Brixton. Go to a blues, Junior. You must be crazy. I'd be the only white guy there. A couple of weeks later, the Rock and Pop Awards are on. Right? So he brings me up and he says, you've got to come to the Rock and Pop Awards. So I turn and I say, why? This is the Rock and Pop Awards, Junior. You've got to be there. You know, you're one of the big names on our label. We've got this table. We've got all of this. Blah, blah, blue, this, that, and Antara. I said, no. He said, what? I said, I'll be one of the only black guys there. Oh, mate, he was pissed. Right? So I never went. He was Pissed. Absolutely good. Right? I had to laugh. I thought to myself, there you go.
Bit of reverse psychology like that.
Yeah, so come on. Right? It's like me trying to turn around and do a rock record. How am I going to know, right, the audience for rock unless I go in there to see it?
Absolutely, of course, mate.
Do you get what I'm saying? It's just logical.
Yeah.
Right? So when you're dealing with people who are frightened to be in your vicinity, but are telling you that you shouldn't be frightened to be in theirs, you're having a laugh, son.
Yeah, well, it's complete hypocrisy, right?
Yeah, you're having a laugh, right? So you were fighting to change that kind of mindset.
Yeah.
Right? So that people understood, right? Nowadays, it wouldn't be a thing. Do you get what I'm saying?
No.
Nowadays, it wouldn't be a thing. Right? I'm coming. I want to know. Those days, it's like a bit like Feed the World, Bob Geldof.
Mm-hmm.
You make a record that was relevant 40 years ago. You want to put it back out 40 years on. And Ed Sheeran says no, because the lyrics aren't really relevant. And we need to change that because the narrative was a bit more kind of like, we white people are helping you black people.
Right.
And Ed Sheeran turns and says, no, I don't want to be a part of that. Bob Geldof turns around and says, well, I've been doing it for 40 years and it works for me. So you're still in that old school narrative. Right? And you don't want to be a part of what is happening. Change. You don't want to be a part of change.
Yeah.
Right? And, times have changed. The way I make a record back in 1981, 82, even before that, in the 70s, late 70s, I wouldn't make a record like that today because the technology is not the same. Right? So you can't make the same style of record. Right?
So you have to get your head round. Well, it's just the whole thing's evolving. If you don't change, that's the best gift about being a human is that we have to change and embrace that. So
that's the thing about being human, and that's the beauty about, for me, that's the beauty about being a musician, being a writer, being a part of this industry.
Mm-hmm. I can imagine that when you're sitting in that studio now, writing a new song, mixing it, producing it, blah blah blah, doing the vocals, and then you kind of glance back to the late 70s, early 80s. It's a different planet, let alone a different vibe. I mean, like I said, with the big wheels.
Like you're on the moon. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, really. Like how archaic that must feel now.
Of course it is, because you'd be in a studio back in the day. You'd be in the studio 24/7.
Yeah.
Right, and you'd start maybe 10 o'clock in the morning, and you wouldn't finish till about 9 o'clock the following morning.
Yeah.
And then you'd start at 12 o'clock maybe, and then you're back in, and you're doing 16, 17 hours.
To give it a nice fresh vocal.
Thank you. Do you get what I'm saying? You're killing yourself, right? No. Whereas today, you can walk out or you can go upstairs. You can go up the stairs, put a vocal down, go and have lunch, come back, go upstairs, grab a listen, don't like it, let me just redo that little part. Your whole way of thinking and being and recording is completely different.
Absolutely.
And I mean completely different. It's nothing is the same.
No, completely. Like the more opposite, I mean, than it possibly could be. Looking back at your, so you achieved like major music changing, pop star changing, artist changing stuff. You led the way. You created genres. You created paths for the people that were coming up behind you, and you did that without having to do anything on TikTok or anything on. So not only, I mean, like if you look at your achievements, I mean, I remember sitting in Simon Cowell's office. Actually, I was one of Simon Cowell's when he was just A&R Arista.
Yeah, I remember him
talking, and they were like, just in his office were bags and bags and bags of the most brightly covered leopard print tinseled demo tapes, right? And he said something, and I've said it on before on my show, but I can't remember the exact statistics, but it was saying like 220,000 people a year try to get a record deal, and less than 20 a year get one, or less than 200 a year get one, or something like that.
Less than 200 at that time.
And that was when you couldn't be a star in your own bedroom. So I had that, as little Mr. Pop White Boy, right? That
Mm.
was my odds. You had everything else on top of that shit.
Well, that's why I'm saying it the way I'm saying it, because if your mindset was to think about color, you never made it, because every time, the white guy's gonna get it,
Yeah.
the white girl's gonna get it,
Mhm.
the white. So you couldn't think that way.
Yeah.
You had to think about
Junior's gonna make it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, and that's I think maybe that's what's kept the longevity of why I still do what I do and why I'm still here,
Yeah.
because I have no color issue.
No.
I'm prepared to talk about it because it was real. It wasn't something that wasn't there. It was prevalent. It was the barrier. It was the barrier that you had to break down.
Yeah. Completely.
You know, if you wanted to get played on Radio 1, Radio 1 didn't want to play no black records.
No.
Much less a black kid from South London. And they're going to have to deal with him now, because he's going to turn around. He's going to be giving it some. And the reason he can give it some is because we didn't break it. He broke in another country.
Yeah.
And he broke in America, of all countries.
Yeah. Where that was like, even in the 90s, like, Japan and the States, you need to break that before England. Like.
So can you imagine, you broke in Japan, you broke in America, which I did, right? So there was I didn't need England.
No.
England needed Junior. That was the difference, right? So you can imagine the mindset of the people that you're dealing with now, right? Because of the fact that they know that you don't need them.
Yeah. How was their attitude towards? How did they change? Like pre-break in the States, post-break in the States, were they like a bit arse-licky, sucky-uppy? We need you to fly the British flag now, or
dramatic?
How did they change towards you?
It was dramatic, man, because all of a sudden, right, you were now kind of like flying the flag, as you said.
Commodity
you now fly the flag for England. So when you would come back, everybody wanted to know you. Everybody wanted to speak to you. Every newspaper wanted to do something. Every pop magazine wanted to do something. Everybody wanted to give you a front page. Right? You know, I think it was, who was it? Sounds was the only one who turned around and they wouldn't give me a front page. So what they did is they found an American band, right, who was like a half-ass band. They weren't that good. But because they were black, right, they figured that, like, we'll put them on the front cover. We won't put Junior. And that's what they did. Sounds of Sound.
Well, at least they were being consistent with their shit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, respect to them. They didn't.
Military Maker had to switch up.
Wow.
Right? All of these other ones had to switch up, right? You know, and give you a double page spread.
Yeah.
They didn't want to, but they had to.
Good.
Because your success, right, was you couldn't not disacknowledge what was going on.
Absolutely. Was you kind of like, told ya?
I told you so. It was one of them, right? But what it did was, as I said, because of that success, other artists came on the back, right, and became huge, right? I remember when we did, I went to America and George Michael had done Everything She Wants. And every radio station I went into, which was a black radio station, I would tell them about this kid called George Michael. He's got a tune called Everything She Wants. Now remember, I'm now promoting this white guy to a black audience. When the record became huge, right, George has gone clear, he's won this, he's won that. And I was managing Richard Blackwood.
Oh,
wow. I went to see, there was some kind of an awards ceremony. And we went to the awards ceremony, me and Richard. And while we were there, George was there. So George comes up and he starts talking. And poor Richard's standing there like, I don't believe this. This is George Michael. And he's brushing you. And George turns and says to Richard, it wasn't for this guy that you got here as your manager. Right? It wasn't for him. My song, Everything She Wants, right, would have never happened. He went into every radio station. and told them. He even gave them copies.
Wow.
Richard standing there like, but Junior, you never told me. I said, I didn't need to.
No.
I don't need to tell you what I did, right? But that's how that record broke. Now, there was no white guy from England who was going to be going into a black radio station and saying diddly squat, right, about a white guy. When I started talking about the Eurythmics, when the Eurythmics came out with Sweet Dreams, right, I'm on WBLS in New York, right, and I'm talking to the #1 DJ in the whole country, Frankie Crocker. And Frankie Crocker says, so Junior, what's the tune that's killing it right now? And I'm saying, Sweet Dreams. And he's like, who's that? And I said, a band called Eurythmics. So he said, what, black guys? I said, no, a white girl and a white girl and a white guy. And he's looking at me like, what?
What are you listening to?
Following day, I don't know how he done it. Following day, he got a copy of Sweet Dreams, right? And he blew it up.
Wow.
And everywhere I went, right, that tune was being played. Everywhere in the country I went, that tune. Because if Frankie played it, everybody played. Right? So
please remind me to send you my next single.
Don't worry. Right? But that was back then. Come on, this is the But saying that to say that it wasn't for me, it was never colour. It was about music. If it was good. And that's what people who were in the music industry in England back in those days couldn't fully grasp. No, it wasn't. When I first met Annie Lennox told me she wanted to be the white Grace Jones.
Wow.
Right? Do you get what I'm saying? So black music was incredibly important. If you look at, what we call it, the Police, when they first came, right? What broke them? A version of Bob Marley. Wow. You know what I mean? Giant steps, oh, what you did. Walking on the moon. That was all, what was that? That was nothing to do with white music.
Yeah.
That was us. And then he goes on to do different things. Eric Clapton, same thing. Who was he listening to? Jimi Hendrix. But the actual people who were in record companies in these places couldn't fully grasp the fact that the musicians, the people who were making the music, didn't care about colour. They could hear. You go all the way back. Go back to the Beatles. Go back to the Yardbirds. Go back to, who else? Go back to the Stones. Go back to all of these British bands and listen to where they were coming from. Blues. Who did the blues? Who started rock and roll? Who started Elvis? Who, all of these things, right? That like, it's like saying, I don't want to accept it.
Yeah.
But you had no choice. And then through the 90s going into the 2000s, right? And because of the fact that now everything was integrated, everything now was multicultural. Before they had a word called multicultural.
Yeah.
Right? Before they had this word, we were all multicultural.
Yeah.
Right? We were going to the same clubs. We were liking the same vibes. Right? We were doing the same things. Regardless, it was, we as kids growing up were more closer together than society wanted.
Yeah.
Right? But the music that was being made was fantastic because of it. Right? And that was, for me, that was the beauty of being a part of that period of time. The struggle.
The real time of great. It was a very embryonic stuff. I remember being a young lad, you know, and sneaking off to the Velvet Underground or the Velvet Room in London, and there was a night called Off the Hook, and it was My Little White Self, and that was it. And I thought I was in Blackstreet or Jodeci. I was doing my shit. I thought, I got my good. I didn't even know. It's only when I brought a girlfriend of mine, and she's like, Jaden, we're getting into white people here. I'm like, I'm not here for any colour. I'm here because there's music, mate. There's music. Yeah, there's nowhere playing this at the minute. I'm like, right.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't that. It was never about the colour, and that's
it was vibe.
establishment wanted to make colour prevalent so that we would be divided.
Isn't that the old bloody story anyway?
Come on.
Mate,
Come
since
on.
the beginning of human fucking existence, we still are not learning a lesson that we are all bloody family.
Exactly. If we can keep, if we, the beauty of music is that music is non-color, right?
Yeah.
I used to turn and say to people, right, that like when back in the day, I used to say, "What color's the wax, man? What color is that vinyl, man?" Right? Because I see more black vinyl than I do red, yellow, very much. I don't see too much white vinyl, man. I see enough black vinyl, man. I used to laugh because you know what I'm saying? Who cares?
Exactly.
Right? Who cares if we can keep this whole thing going on a basis of a love, right, and a family,
Yes.
and we can keep that as the base
and spirit,
right?
mate. Because really, that creates. I'm not Christian. I don't follow any particular path. I'm a mess, like a mix up of everything that helps me to be the best person I can be. But that's where that creation comes from. That's where that talent, that energy, it just comes from everything that is, right? And that is pure. That's in its most pure form.
But that's where great music comes from. Not just good, great music.
Absolutely. Mate, I want to take you back. How did you get the call from the States? So was you like kind of sitting down in the kitchen having your, I don't know, Rice Krispies and, you know, like, and someone goes, "You're fucking famous in USA now. You need to get your..." I mean, like, what happened? How do you hear this? I'm kind of willing this into my life, mate. So yeah, just tell me how it happened.
I had a good friend, right? And she lived in America. She come from England, but she lived in America. And we would always talk music. She'd ring me, I'd ring her, we'd chat and whatever else. And one Saturday, I was at home and I had all my mates around and we were playing cards. And the phone went. I got on the phone, started talking, and she said to me, "Have you heard this tune called Mama Used to Say?" So I said, "What?" She said, "Junior, the tune's blowing up. I don't know who this guy is.
No.
This tune huge." Right? So I'm like, "Really?" She said, "Listen, in New York, you know, because that's where she's in, right, where she was. In New York, there's nowhere you can go. Every shop's playing it. You go to a dance, they're playing it." She said she went to the pictures, right? Went to see a movie, and they're playing it at the movies.
Really?
I'm sitting there listening to all of this, right? And I haven't said a word. I've just listened to it. She was the first one to tell me how big that record was. And then when I was on tour with Lynx, I would go into the record company, and when I'd go in, "Oh, you sold 100,000 copies in Chicago." "Really?" "You sold," and again another day, "you sold 250,000 copies in Detroit. You sold 175,000 in Cincinnati." It was mind blowing because I couldn't gauge, right, what was going on, right? Because it was like Carol's told me about this record being huge. And every day I'm going in for the tour and I'm speaking to the A&R man. And the secretaries were all of a sudden, all the secretaries are really nice to me. Before I come in, seriously, before I come in, be, "All right, Junior?" "Yeah." "Right, God." Now it's, "All right, Junior, do you want a coffee? Do you want a tea? Or do you want an orange juice? Do you want something to eat? I'll go and get that." I'm like, what the hell is going on? Right? And then they would be so quick. I wouldn't even get into the building. By the time I've gone up in the lift and I've gotten to the first floor, and I'd see the security guy, and he'd be like patting me on my back. Man, I love that song.
Alien abduction or something? What's that?
It was mad. It was absolutely mad because, as I said, when I was being told by Carol, my friend in America, when she was telling me, it was a bit like, as I said, I never said a word. And then, when I went to America, I played a place called the Paradise Garage. And in New York, the Paradise Garage was like Studio 54, huge.
Wow, okay.
Everybody went to the Paradise. And I was playing that night. And there was all kinds of different artists who'd come. And I rang her when I got there. And she still didn't know. Because remember, this isn't TikTok days.
Yeah, exactly. There's no to and fro, is there, really?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just the record. So
Yeah.
nobody's actually, who is this guy? Who is this kid? So I said to her to come. I'll meet her, and sent her a car. She didn't know what was going on. He sent a car for her, right? You know, she gets in the car. She comes to the Paradise, right? You know, they let her in. They've got bodyguards for her. Places like packed, 15,000 people, right? And it's a garage. It's huge, right? And she comes in, and I'm about to go on stage, and they've got her on the side. And I'll never forget it, when Mama came on, the whole place went mad. And when I looked at her face, it was like, Julie!
That would be the highlight of my, it's even making me tear. That
was the highlight of my career.
Yeah, that would be. Did she come up to you and go, "You covered that song really well, man"?
It was one of those. It was just, you know, when things like that make it all worthwhile.
Yeah, man.
It really does. It just makes it all worthwhile, because it's like, you know, most people will turn around, I suppose, and say like, yeah, that's me, you know, and I'm this, that, and the other. But for me, what it was just like, oh, wow.
Yeah,
is this really happening? Yeah, it's like, oh, is this really happening? Is this really? And then, as I said, to have all of these different artists who I'd been buying their records, mate, you know, from jazz musicians. I did a gig, and bass player comes in with his son. And I don't know the bass player, you know, I know musicians, but maybe I know the names, but I'm not seeing them as much. So the little boy comes in and he says, could you sign the record for me, please? I'm like, of course I can. Who's it to? He said, not for me, it's for my dad. So he turns and he says, my dad. I look up and it's Jacques Pastorius, bass player, right, with Weather Report. I didn't know what to do. I've been playing, and here he is. He's asking for that is. I'm on my knees, you know. I'm on knees. I'm like this. I'm on a bowing.
Can you kiss my record for me, please?
You know what I'm saying?
Wow, man.
Things like that was happening. Like, just totally blew me away.
What
just
a
totally
phenomenal life experience, bud. How
you
blessed.
How blessed. Yeah, it was that time, being able to have a record like that, have a beginning, if you like, to this industry. Having a beginning like that, and then being able to go out there and meet other artists and perform on stage and just develop as a human being, basically.
Yeah.
Right? Was mammoth. And I always, when I do talk about that period of time, it always makes me smile, because it's like, you know, I was a kid from South London, mate. I was doing all kinds of things on the road and whatever else is you do. You're growing up and things ain't 100 for you, and you're not sure whether or not you're going to be able to achieve anything with your life, do anything with your life. You've got all of these barriers going up for you in the country that you're living in. And then to be able to kick down the barrier, right, and open the floodgates. Yeah. Right, but you being the first there, you know, with that flag, if you like, running through, right? It was an incredible moment.
Oh, man. Yeah, you're a legend, absolute legend, dude. I want to take you back to, you mentioned, you touched on it then a little bit, but to junior. Like, how did it all start for you? Like, what was your music background? What music was going on in the house? Like, how did you literally go from paving the way for hundreds of thousands of artists for the last 40 years, for like going down, I don't know, going and buying 3 aniseed balls from the news agents down the road with your pocket?
Down the road, you know.
So, how did that happen? Like, what got you into it? Were your family musical? Like, what was going on, man?
Well, what for me, what it was, I'm the youngest of 8. So my second oldest sister went to live in America, got married to a GI, went to live in America. But while he was here, I used to go to the American bases that he was in. And when you went to the American bases, all they would play would be R&B. So you'd hear James Brown, you'd hear the Manhattans, you'd hear all of these crooners and stuff, right? At the same time, just before all of that was going on, my aunt and uncle had their own church.
Okay.
They used to pick us up on the Sunday, me and my 2 older sisters, and they'd pick us up and we'd go to church. I was never a Christian and never into church, but I loved music.
I used to go to Kensington Temple and stuff. Oh my god, man! JC and the London Gospel Community
Choir, yeah.
Intense.
And I used to go and I'd hear this music, and every time I'd look around, just the faces, the smiling, happiness, the joy that this music gave off. And then when I got to around about 9, 10, I wanted to try and get into the school choir, but they said I wasn't good enough. So I said, okay. And there was a church around the corner, and my mum said, you should go to the church around the corner. It was a Catholic church. My mum was a Catholic. So she introduced me to the priest, and the priest started me to sing, and I sang. And he said, you should stay with us, be a part of a choir. While I did my audition, there was a couple who were getting married, and they asked the priest if I would sing at their wedding.
Wow.
I was just my very first gig, but I was too shy. I was so shy back then.
Yeah.
And I never turned up. Right? I just didn't turn up. But I still had this love for music. So my sister Verna, who was living in America, back in those days, they used to have I don't know if you do, there was a gun that they had called a Johnny 7. It had 7 different things that it could do. You know, it could shoot bullets, take pictures. It could do all kinds of shit.
I think I remember,
Old thing called the Johnny 7. So she told me, she said, if I wanted a Johnny 7 or did I want a drum kit? So I said, I want the drum kit. So I got the Johnny 7, by the way, but I want the drum kit.
I brought that when I was 46, actually, and I was determined to get that. On eBay.
She sent me, on eBay. And she sent over the drum kit, which banging away and stuff like this. My mum and dad, I don't know how they took it, mate. You know what I mean? Because I was in the hallway. So you can imagine everybody walking around in the house. It was like, Jesus Christ. But I loved it. I loved the drums, and I loved the sound, and I loved everything about it. So that started a whole journey. By the time I got to about 13, 14, there was a wave going on, which was lovers rock.
Okay.
And there was a guy called Stephen Peter Weeks became one of the top producers of lovers rock. Right? But he used to come from North London. Him and Steve, and they had acoustic guitars. And they would come down to my house, and we'd write songs.
Wow!
Right? They really got a clue how to do this thing. But we're all 3 of us we're so enthusiastic about music and stuff like this, and we were trying to write songs, trying to understand. And then an album came out by a band called The Stylistics.
Oh, of course. What a group, mate.
Very first album that they made, and I Bet You By Golly Wow, all that stuff was I heard Bet You By Golly Wow, and I thought, how did they do that? The construction of it. So I was like 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 4. So I got the whole tempo.
Yeah.
And then I got the construction of verse, chorus, verse, chorus, middle eight.
Like,
Middle eight. Then after middle eight, you could either come out, go into a musical break, or you could come back with verse, or you could have a third verse going into choruses. So I started to see how people were constructing their songs. And I started to learn. I was about 14, 15, 16, about that time. And then I put a little band together. Right? And it was, we would go out and we'd do pub gigs, right? And do these little talent shows, right? And we did one, and the group that won came out. I always remember it. They had white suits on, right? And they did "Oh What a Night."
oh yeah. December back in 16. Who sang that originally, man? That's gonna bug me now.
I can't remember their names.
Oh, I'm gonna have to Google that later.
You're gonna have to Google that now. But they came out and they did that track, and I always remember we were all standing up and we thought, "That's it, Will." That's it. And then I came out and we went on afterwards and we did My Sharia War. And we came second. They won. We came second. But again, all of these things that we were doing was inspiring us, getting us, and especially me, getting me to kind of, oh, this is what I want to do. I want to do this. And then there was a talent contest down in Battersea, and I went in for the contest, and I did For the Love of You by the Isley Brothers. And I won the competition. I came out, I think I won 50 quid. But by the time I came out with my 50 quid, by the time I got to the bar, everybody bought a drink, so my 50 quid was done. But it was, those things were happening that were showing me that, like,
that this was your future path. Yeah.
Yeah. But I got to 17, I put a band together and we called ourselves Atlantis. It was 7-piece, 3 vocalists, guitar, bass, drum, percussion.
Wow, okay.
And we did the London School of Fashion as our first gig. Blew it up. Yeah, blew it up. But the thing was, everybody was doing jazz funk. And again, Junior not wanting to do what everybody's doing.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do something that was more representative of where we were coming from, which was more rock funk. Right? Okay. So I wasn't sure, but then again, I bought an album by the Isley Brothers, right? And it was the 3+3, and I heard a track called "Who's That Lady," right? And that was it, mate. You could actually have sweet vocals with this rock and and I was like, oh my God, I want to do things like that. Now, during all of this time, I'm now between 13 to 17. Wow. I'm playing sound systems, right? So Lloydie Coxon is a friend of my brother's. So I'm able to go to a club called the Roaring Twenties down on Carnaby Street. There's no way I'm supposed to be in there. But because my brothers and Lloydie were good friends, right, I'm going there. And me and a mate called Dudley, and we would get to play the sound system between 11 and 12. Wow. Right? Wow. So we would play what we liked musically, right? Which was all kinds of different music, right? Not just reggae music.
Yeah.
But the people that inside the place loved it, right? So Festus and Coxon allowed us to do this every Wednesday and Friday night. Right? My mum and dad were really cool because they knew Lloydie from he was a boy. So here I am, and I'm being able to mix with these people and get a chance to hear this music and play this music. So like you do when you're playing a sound system, you're gauging the people.
Of course, yeah.
You're playing the music that you know the people are going to go mad for. It's the same thing when you started. So then I started to listen to, there was an album that came out by Sly Stone called There's a Riot Going On. Okay. And I got that album, and by that time I put the band together. And I said to the band, go get this album, go listen, come back, because Larry Graham was playing slap bass, and nobody knew anything about slap bass in this country at that time. The bass player in the band was a guy called George Anderson, who went on to become, or should I say, to play with and become a part of Shack Attack.
Wow, okay.
But George, right, this was the first time he was going to hear, because I wanted my band. I wanted George to play slap bass. Mm-hmm. I wanted different. So I'm listening to stuff that's different. So George is playing slap bass. And then the guitarist, which was, what's his name? Dave, but he went on to play for Modern Romance, the guitarist.
Wow,
and I wanted him to listen to Hendrix, because I loved Hendrix, and I wanted him to get a vibe of what that was about. So you can imagine this band, right, was completely left the center concerning what was going on at the time.
Absolutely.
So and also what was going on was we got ourselves a manager, and the manager would put us in to play at reggae clubs, right? So we're playing this rock R&B stuff at reggae clubs. So you can imagine, we're up there and we're doing like 45 minutes, mate, right? And everybody's in the place and they're just looking at us. Ain't nobody moving, you know. Ain't nobody moving. Each tune, ain't no claps, ain't no nothing, right? We go up to Birmingham, I never forget it. We played a gig in Birmingham. And when we finished, to get to the dressing room, you got to walk through the crowd. And we got off stage, and got to be honest, I'm shitting bricks now, right? Because not one person clapped. Not one person said, yeah, man, bang, nothing. For 45 minutes, dead. And we come off stage, and we're walking through. And all of a sudden, a guy would touch you and say, that was nice, you know, man. Like, oh, right. And the next one, the girl would turn and say, like, where'd I come from? Like, South London. All of a sudden, we're walking through, and all of these people, and they are talking to us, right, and telling us that, like, what we were doing was happening.
Yeah.
And that's when it really dawned on me. It was that gig in Birmingham, what was that, 17, 18? But that gig was it. That gig kind of nailed it, made me know, I want to do this.
This is what you're doing, yeah.
I want to do this. And then we would do gigs. I remember doing a gig, and there was only two people at the gig. One was high, the other one was drunk. So the high guy was all over the place.
Hey, I know exactly how that rolls. It was the same in the bloody 90s, man. I remember doing Hollywood's in Romford, right? A jungle night. It was a jungle night. And my first single was amazing writer-producer called Elliot Kennedy,
I know Elliot Kennedy.
Yeah, he's amazing. They're such a lovely gent. And we've done one of his songs called Love Will Turn the Key, and it was pretty similar to, you know, like the Spice Girls stuff.
Yeah.
Only love will turn the key. You don't want that at a fucking jungle night. Like, you really don't. And we had no money, so I'm in this like open shirt with all these beads, with my flex and stuff like that, with two beautiful black girls, you know, another white guy, and everyone was like that.
Yeah, stone face.
And I just felt Jaden, who had major self-esteem issues and shyness issues at the time, just getting smaller and smaller and smaller. The record company said, do you want a fucking deal or not? Not if it's like this, I really don't want to do it.
I don't want it if it's like this, mate.
Oh my god! So I know, and then, but like I say, it was before internet, so you wanted people in Leeds to hear. Yeah. You had to slog it up to Leeds, do a 3-song PA in some naff old club where everyone was either pissed or eat off their face. So you had to do it 5 or 6 times to the hope they remember your name. So
you had no choice. You had no choice. You had to do it,
mate.
Do you know what I'm saying? You had to do it, and we went all over the place like that. Right? And as I said, it was like from being a kid, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Brothers and sisters. I remember my sister sending me the James Brown record called Money Won't Change You. It's on the King label. Can you imagine that? right? And then I remember getting a copy of, she sent the album to my dad, because my dad was a big Sam Cooke, right, fan. And A Change Is Gonna Come was on. And I remember sitting on the floor, cross-legged, right? My dad built his own system, because that's what men used to do back in those days.
Yeah.
And he built his own system and had his own speakers and this, that, and Antara. And he played that song, A Change Is Gonna Come. I had no idea what it meant, but just the vibe of that tune was just amazing. So again, I was getting, and then my brothers were into reggae, and so I get early reggae stuff from the Abyssinians to the early Bob Marley stuff to the early Toots and the Maytals. Then we're listening to normal radio, which was pop radio. So you're listening to the Yardbirds, the Kinks, and I loved the Kinks. I was a big Kinks fan. You know, she really got me, you really got me, girl. You really got me, girl. You got me so I can be back like you really. I love all that stuff.
Yeah, love that song. Yeah,
all of these bands. So there was an eclectic sound going on. My dad was a jazzer. My mum was into gospel. So I'd hear my Mahalia Jackson next to, say, a Dave Brubeck, a Charlie Parker, right? So I was in a house when music wasn't like, we, the family, didn't just appreciate reggae. We didn't just appreciate soul. We didn't just appreciate gospel. It was everything. You could find the beauty, and that was the thing that really grabbed me, was we could all find the beauty in other people's music, right? And that's, I suppose, that helped to shape me.
Yeah.
A small story: when I was a kid, my uncle used to work in, I don't know where he worked, but he worked with Mick Jagger and Brian, who both of them was the beginning of the Rolling Stones. So they wanted my uncle to join the band. So he was like one of the youngest members of my mum was the oldest.
Right.
So he'd come over from Jamaica, staying at the house, and these guys wanted him to be a part of the band. So he said to them that they had to come around and speak to his big sister, right? And if she said it was all right, then he'd join the band. Right? Classic, this is. So Mick Jagger and Brian come around. They're sitting in our front room. So my mum allows me to sit. This is for real. My mum allows me to sit there while they're having this conversation. And Mick Jagger and Brian, more Brian and Mick, is talking about the fact that, they really feel Carlton is great and they want him in the band. The way he plays congos, this, that, and another. Anyway, they leave. My uncle, he was in the room. My mum says to my uncle, so, Carlton, what do you want? You want to join the band? My uncle turns and says, no, man, they're rubbish. None of them can play, right? They're no good. Never forgot it. I'm in a studio called Good Earth, right, in London. I'm working with Bill Lynott, John Sykes from Whitesnake, Derek Bramwell, right? And we're all sitting down in this room. And the producer of the track, right, knows David Bowie and knows Mick Jagger. All of a sudden, bell goes, he walks in, Mick Jagger, David Bowie. So we're all sitting in this room. I'm just amazed by this now. We're all sitting in this room. We're all chatting. I'm not chatting. They're all chatting. And Mick Jagger turns and says, you think I don't remember you? I'm like, what? Like, remember, I couldn't have been more than 7. I'm now 24, 25. He said to me, do you remember me? So I laughed and I said, you're Mick Jagger, come on. He said, no, I came to your house, 39 Cavendish Road, and I wanted your uncle to join the band, right? Which he didn't do. I don't know why. This is him telling me. I don't know why he never joined the band, right? But we wanted him to join the band. He was really good. and you were sitting down. Your mum and dad had red sofas, right? I couldn't believe it. And he said you were sitting on the side on the two-piece sofa. I said, Tim, you're having a laugh. Yeah, he remembered me from all of those years ago. Right.
Did you tell him why the uncle didn't join?
No, you got to be joking. No, mate. He didn't want to play with you. He said he was rubbish. You got to be joking. I wasn't going to say
Mick Jagger, if you're watching, nothing personal. You've done well. Congrats. You beat the odds.
You know, when you go like, I remember in the 70s saying to my uncle, right, don't you wish you was a part of that band? He's like, nah. By that time, Stones were huge, you know. Like, no, that weren't for me.
You wouldn't have been junior in that band, and that was what you did the best, right?
Come on. But it was beautiful, you know, you have beautiful moments like that. Yeah, something like that happened, right? And then, what, nearly 20 years down the road, you're going to see this person, and you know that you remember him, you know, because it's Mick Jagger. You remember him. He's not going to remember you. Who are you? Do you know what I'm saying? And for him to turn and say, you think I don't remember you? To start by saying, you think I don't? Because they're all talking. We're talking music. But he's talking about the fact that, like, he no longer does 24/7 in the studio. He does from 9 till 5 because he wants to go home and, you know, be with his wife and his children and go out. And he comes out with that, and that just blew me away. Just blew me away. So
carry on.
No, I was just going to say, it's just a bit like that. Again, all of these things were things that, like, were nudging you towards what you eventually would do.
Completely, mate. You have some of the most phenomenal, like, memories, happenings, experiences. It's probably not going to be easy, but do you have a highlight of your career? Is there just one thing? I mean, all of them for me, I'm just like, but do you have like one thing that is just, me was like doing dance lessons with Stedman from 5 Star. I mean, that was pretty amazing.
Right.
And meeting and kind of hanging out with Olivia Newton-John, they were my 2 highlights. But apart from that, like, do you have something that you're just like, mate, this is the reason I did what I did. Like, this is the top of the top.
There's two things. One was going to see Marvin Gaye. This was before I'd ever made a record. Marvin Gaye was playing at the Royal Albert Hall.
Wow. And
me and a mate, we were late. And we're running, right, to go to get, you know, because he's supposed to be on, I think, say he's supposed to be on at 8 o'clock. It was 8 o'clock.
Right.
So we're running. We come out of the station and we're running. And there's this guy standing outside smoking a cigarette. And we're running. And Trevor says, that's Marvin Gaye. And I'm like, no, it can't be Marvin Gaye. He's on the stage. We're running. We get up and it's Marvin Gaye. I stop. Trevor stops. Trevor was more out there than me. He says to Marvin Gaye, what are you doing outside here? You're supposed to be on stage. And Marvin Gaye is there and he's smoking his cigarette and he turns and he says, man, I had no idea that people love my music like this because it was sold out. People love my music. And I always remember standing there, not knowing what to say. What do you do? Should I go in? Should I always remember that.
Do I
bow? What do I do here? That was one. The other one was, when I went to America, when my dad and mama used to say, I went to a radio station, not knowing that the radio station was owned by Stevie Wonder. Stevie was in the back room. And when I came in, I did the interview. And after I did the interview, a girl came over and said that Mr. Wonder would like to meet you. And I'm thinking, who's Mr. Wonder? Right? Didn't talk. I go into this room, you know, desk, system, and it's Stevie Wonder. And my palm of my hand is now as wet as a river. It's flowing, right? I'm rubbing my hands on my trousers and stuff, right? Because he's put his hand out to meet me, And oh Jesus, right? And I'm there, and I'm like, shit. And I've touched his hand, and my hand, I'm still dripping. Yeah, you know, everywhere. I'm still dripping. And he turns and he says to me, man, I heard that song, and it sounded like a band. Now, when I did Mama, I wanted it to sound like a group. I wanted it to sound live. I wanted it to sound like 5 guys were going at it, right? And he could hear it. And I never ever forgot that. He said, man, you guys sounded like a band, and it's you? And I'm like, well, yeah, you know, it is a band, but yeah. And we're there, and he's got me in conversation. And I can't believe this. I'm having a conversation with Stevie Wonder. And then he turns and he says to me, I got this though. And he plays me That Girl. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, Jesus Christ. You know, you get to the chorus. That's why I tell you that I love her. I need it. I couldn't believe it. He's playing me this tune. And then he goes up into one and he says to me, I'm going to go to number 1 and you're going to be number 2. I said, really? Right? And I realized that, like, this is just a funny guy. 2 charts in America that meant anything. Billboard, Cashbox. I'm number 1 in Cashbox. He's number 2.
Yeah.
He's number 1 in Billboard. I'm number 2.
Amazing.
Right? So he's now rung me wherever I am, telling me where we are, right, in the chart, right, as it's going up. Hey man, right? You in Chicago, right? I'm like, yeah. Well, we're at number 36 and you're at number 32. And Jesus Christ. You know? Those 2 things were things that really stood out.
Mate, that's
just stood out because it was like, I'm the Marvin Gaye, I haven't made a record, I hadn't done anything. But it was like I was meeting this incredible musician. I love Marvin. And then he was Stevie Wonder who was taking the piss. Do you know what I mean? Right? And I'm like, oh my God, this guy has just got such a great sense of humor, right? And we've been friends ever since. It's not like, you know, he's just been there for me. If I needed anything in this industry in terms of knowing that, like, you know, do you own your publishing? I'm like, do I own my publishing? So do you own your publishing? I'm like, well, I've signed my publishing to EMI. Get it back. Get it back. I'm like, how do I do that? Stevie told me how. So now I own everything that I do.
wow.
And it was him that showed me how.
What a gentleman.
This is what I'm saying. The generosity that these people gave to me in terms of helping me, maturing my mind in terms of the industry that I was in, to understand what you needed to know to be able to take the next step, to be able to do the things that I eventually did with my career. Right? A lot of the time, if I didn't know, I could pick up the phone and ask. And people were ready to give up themselves. And that was the thing that really, because as I said, in England, we didn't have anybody like that. I didn't have anybody.
You missed those days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything like that. I didn't have anybody when I first started in England. There was nobody that I could go to who knew the business, who knew what was necessary, what you needed to do. In England, when I first started, it was about trying to rip you off. So people were trying, you know, let's get it right. In England, people were trying to be your friend because they wanted to rip you off or they wanted to lig, right? So, you know, it was 1 out of 2. When I went to America, nobody tried to rip me off and nobody was ligging. But everybody had something to tell me, to help me, right? And that was the thing with America during that early 80s, right? That was just phenomenal for me. I'd go back every 3 months. I'd be in America because it was just, the place just had me. The musicians had me. I remember working with Arthur Baker. Do you remember Arthur Baker? Right? Arthur Baker was, oh Jesus, what was he? He was one of the top producer remixers.
Okay.
I remember going into a studio with Arthur Baker, and Arthur Baker saying, "I'm not going to work with you because you're one of the best kept secrets in this business." They go, really?
Nice, mate.
People like that, you know. I remember when I met a young Teddy Riley. He was working in London, right, back in the day, doing hip hop music that nobody liked. Everybody thought it was crap, and this, that, and until. And then Teddy becomes big doing hip hop. He comes back to England with was it? No, not Guy. Who was it? Yes, it was. With Guy. He comes back to England. He rings me and he says, "Come to the gig." I can't come to the gig, right? So I'm at home. I can't remember what it was. I get a phone call. Teddy Riley's just gone on stage and said, you know, that like the music that he's making, it was because of you. So I'm saying, what are you talking about? Yeah, Teddy says Swing Beat was you. So I said, oh, right. And the guy's like, how is Teddy Riley talking about you? Same thing as George Michael back in the day. Still didn't click, right? That we can make music right here in England. Because I done a track called Oh Louise that was a hit in America, and it was swing beat, right? And I did another song for a guy called Paul Johnson called When Love Comes Calling. It was swing beat, and it hit America. In England, yeah, as per usual. Teddy hears it. Teddy goes off and does his version of, right, becomes huge. Swing beat became the music of the 90s. Everybody was doing swing beat. I don't care where. But I didn't look at it that I started swing beat because swing beat was out there way before me. I just did it at a time when nobody else was doing it.
Right.
Because nobody else was doing it, it came across like, wow, you're doing something new.
You think?
Do you get what I'm saying? Right? Because nobody else was doing it. So swing beat comes in. I do swing beat. I have a hit with Oh Louise in America. Teddy hears it. Teddy goes and starts with Guy and all of these different people. Big song. It's lovely. He comes to England. He turns around on stage and says, "It's one of your guys that started this form of music." And that was, again, what a wonderful thing to hear from somebody you know that like doesn't have to go up there and say anything because everybody says swing beat is Teddy Riley. And Teddy Riley turns around and says, no, I had a nephew, went away, I think he was in Spain, and he's in a bar and he's got this magazine, and in the magazine, he's reading the magazine, and Pharrell says, I wanted to be Junior. I wanted to dress like Junior. Right? And my nephew can't believe it. My nephew's rung me up and says, I've got this magazine. I'm like, yeah. Pharrell says that he wanted to dress like you, right? And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, but Unks, we're talking about Pharrell. And I'm like, yeah, I know.
But you went to Junior, the original. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but I'm saying, right? But it makes you smile because it's like, because of the time and the era. Wow, Pharrell. So then there's a basketball game, right? And Pharrell's done the music for the basketball game. What's Mummy used to say in this basketball game? The game is sold over something like 15, 20 million copies worldwide, right? And my other nephew has got the game. He rings me up and he says to me, I'm playing this, I can't remember what one it is. I'm playing this game. And your record comes up, your tune comes up. I'm like, yeah, which one? Mummy used to say, Unks. I'm like, yeah. Yeah, but like, this game, Unks, it's a huge game, you know, right? And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, and your tune's in it. I mean, Pharrell did it as well. I mean, wow. I'm like, yeah. But you get what I'm saying? All of these things are just, they're amazing things that happen going on.
And they're still happening.
Exactly.
It's
And that's
incredible.
the beauty. That's the beauty of music. That's the beauty of being real.
Yeah, it's
That's the
timeless.
beauty of what we were talking about. Spirituality and love. Right?
Yeah.
If you've got those two things and they click hand in hand, right, then you're going to be around for a while.
Yeah.
You're going to make music that's going to be around for a while. You're going to
Well,
make.
you're living proof, dude.
What can I say, man?
Here he is, mate. What now? Obviously, that was a good couple of years ago.
Oh yeah.
What's going on now for Mr. Junior G?
Oh, what's going on now, Junior? I'm working with, just to show you, I got loads of different little bands going on. I've got one called the Funk Soul Brothers, which is myself, David Grant, and Errol Kennedy from Imagination.
Seen that?
The
Yes.
three of us are all going out. We're playing live and doing that. And then I've got the British Collective, which is myself, Omar, and Donnie, which is completely different, right? So we're going out and we do that stuff. I go out and I still play as Junior, still enjoy doing that stuff. And later on this year, I start work on a new album. That's what Junior's up to.
Amazing, man. And you fitted the Jaden show in the middle.
Too right.
How bloody blessed do I feel at this?
Too right, mate.
I'm surprised you didn't bring it up in one of the highlights. Well, I picked Stevie Wonder up off a drum stool and I did the Jaden. But that was definitely high up the list on my 25, darling.
Come on. You have, you say all of that. It's like, again, working with Phil Lynott, right, from Thin Lizzy.
Yeah.
Right, and then this is going back to showing you how people were back in the day. Two black guys get together and we make a record, right? And the record company says that, like, well, no, we can't put it out, you see, because people see Phil as white and they know that you're black. Can you imagine that? You're being told that a black guy is being seen as being white, but you, everybody can see that you're black, right? Classic stuff that you can't.
Worlds, mate.
Come on. But what I'm saying is, regardless of all of that, I got a chance to work with Phil Lynott, man. Come on.
Sweet.
Right, come on. How amazing is that? Do you know what I'm saying? I got a chance to work with Reed Madin. Right? How amazing is that? Stuart Levine. How
I
amazing.
can't even be jealous or envious. I'm just completely absorbed with now living my life through you. This is because I remember I met you back in the BEFTA Awards with Stedman because I was good mates with Stead.
Yeah.
And I was meant to be doing his backing vocals for his new single. But I've been doing his dance classes because I used to teach Zumba. So I used to do a few of his dance classes just to keep, fit. Fit. And then we were, just before we went on stage, his dancer hadn't turned up. One of his dancers, and he went, Jaden, will you do it? I went, no, man, I'm doing your vocals, backing vocals with the three others. He went, Jaden, please. I'm like, mate, I can't, okay, well, if you put me in black and put me right at the back, I can probably cut it. And he gave me this. I love Stead. I really love it. I miss that boy.
Lovely guy.
And he gave me this big bloody sequined orange and silver. I'm like, that ain't no backing dancer shit. And then we just went on. And I'm at the front, literally on the right of Stead, having to do the dance. That was was my plan. But I met you at the BEFTA Awards that year. And I was like, oh my God. That was only my second other. When I met Olivia Newton-John for the first time, I had no plans. I had no idea I was meeting her. Right. I was raising money for breast cancer charities by singing and doing this. And I went to this. I knew Olivia. I would go and see Olivia do her stuff, but I didn't know I was going to meet her. And this guy said, "Oh, Jaden, come in. If you sit down, there was this whole round table, and the only two seats that were free were ones opposite me." And I was like, I don't know what's going on. And then some guy was like, okay, Olivia and Jan are going to be down in 3 minutes. And I could feel my mouth drying because this is Sandy from Greece, mate. Yeah. And it was kind of like desert from here to here. And it was, the lakes of Montebello in my house. I had to take my jacket off. I was putting my arms on the cold bit of the chair thinking, I can't, this is Olivia Newton-John. I was like 7 years old. I was in love with that.
Yeah.
And she came in and sat down, and I couldn't look up. I just had to keep looking at my notes. They're in front of me. I'm like, I can't be sitting opposite Olivia. So I don't know how you go back. And then they said, we're going to get up and we're going to introduce ourselves. Now, I can sing in front of anyone. I've sung like,
right.
not as many as you, but a good couple of
Not
million, you
Not
know.
there.
And they said, we're going to get up and introduce ourselves. And I was like, no. Like, this
Not
is
there.
the worst thing to ever happen to me in my life. And it came round to me and I stood up and went, my name's Jaden and I'm an alcoholic. And she looked at me and went, fuck, is it the wrong meeting? And from then, that moment, we became mates.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah, even thinking about it now, my hands are bloody sweaty. So, mate, power to you. Like,
oh, listen, mate. You know,
I was shocked. I was nervous of you because I was a big ass Junior fan back in the day, like, because there was no music like that. There was no music like that, you know, and it was the first thing that kind of, I mean, you had maybe the Jets came from the States afterwards. I think even all this was after you, like with Crush.
Yeah, they came from
there was that really great pop soul music that was coming through, but there was nothing like you until you know. So for me, I was like, oh my God, that's Junior. And I've just finished making a fool of myself in silver and orange sequins with Stead, bless him. You know.
Oh, don't even worry about it.
And now you're on my show, mate. So
now I'm on your
didn't
show.
Scare you that bad?
No, but then you see, like anything in life, right? You just never know what's around the corner, son.
Absolutely.
You never know.
No, and it's about embracing.
I went to Donny's school when he was a kid, and I went there. I used to go around to schools and talk to them about getting into the music industry, coming from the streets, right? Gang, like what all of this gang crimes that we're having, pretty much knife crime that we're having in England. I was talking about that in 81, 82, 83. I went to his school, went on stage, went there, did my talk. After I finished, he came backstage, asked me about the music industry, this, that, and Antara, what he's going to do, and he's going to do this. And I remember just smiling. We now go on stage, and when we go on stage, he's the first one to tell the story. He came from my school.
Mad, mate.
You never know. You just, and that, to me, that's the beauty of the game that we're in.
Absolutely. And this energy, when you put that energy out there, it can't go. And I mean, it has to stay doing what that energy is designed to do. So it has to it does touch and bring and reject and attract, and it does all
attract all of these different things. It's a bit, that's the beauty of the spiritual and love. Because, hey, if you throw it out there, right, people are going to grab it. Absolutely. Right? And you're going to meet incredible people, like incredible artists, people who have nothing at all to do with the music industry, but who have incredible mindsets, humans, just beautiful human beings. And for me, I've always tried to keep myself in that place, right, so that you're always able to meet these people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who will always give you something, right? They'll always give you something, give you back something that makes you, even if it's coming to songwriting and just a conversation like what we're having now, you pick pieces out of it. And then you take those pieces, right, and you then form it and put it together, and you start looking at them. I wonder if people think of like things like that. I wonder if people look at things like that. And then you look at it from a story perspective, and you put it into a storyline, and you put it out there, and people do think that way. People do read it. People can touch it, right? And you realize that's what you're here to do.
Absolutely.
To touch people. You want to make music, at least I do. I wanted to make music that touches people.
It was quite interesting. When I was born again Christian, so I was kind of a little bit brain screwed at the time. However, and I was 17 years old, and I'm ministering in song in most of the evangelical and Pentecostal assemblies in London, right, at 17. So it was amazing. I wasn't a gospel singer. I wasn't solely, I probably couldn't even sing compared to how I sing now, really. But it was, something that, and I used to spend like the whole week, like literally on my knees going like, what song do I do this Sunday? Like, I need a song that's going to move, it's going to touch, it's going to encourage. And no matter what, without exception, you'll sing that song on a Sunday evening at church, and someone will go, do you know what? I've just gone into remission from battling cancer, and every word, or my mother's died and I needed to hear that, or I've just, it was, I call it music rather than gospel. I call it music with meaning. And then as I got older, I'd done the pop thing, I'd done the R&B thing with pop, and then I started getting into classical and opera because no one was tattooed and pierced singing Ness Dorma, quite frankly. So that was kind of like, Ness Dorma. So I started doing that now. Now I'm singing Dua Lipa to Mariachi and Tina Turner to bloody ABBA, but then, and I thought, right, I'm going to make an album. My third album was like, I need it to be gospel, but not in the Christian sense of the term. I need to be something that was good news. And actually, Stedman from Five Star was in one of my videos called Discover the Gift. But I just wanted to be able to do music, not because it was conveyor belt music that any label or any A&R guy were telling me I had to record, which was fun. I'm not dissing it. But I needed to be able to have that someone would listen to that music and go, mate, that's just really helped me. That was a message I needed today.
That's sometimes I know I did a song 20 years ago now, and it's called Morning Will Come. And to this day, in England and in France, if I don't do Morning Will Come, I can do, Mama used to say I can do Too Late, Oh Louise. If I don't do Morning Will Come, people are pissed.
Wow.
And then you realize the lyric of the song it's people say you must have been like it's a gospel record. It's not a gospel record at all, but it's spiritual.
Yeah,
it talks about the fact of, I'm not even saying losing someone, but it talks about the fact of upliftment within. Right, and having that spiritual oneness with self to be able to challenge the world, challenge life.
Yeah.
When we wrote it, I wanted to write something that wasn't like Mama used to say, wasn't like Too Late, wasn't like. I wanted something just completely different. So when we came up with Morning Will Come, I had no idea that it would have the kind of, still does to this day, that kind of upliftment that, like, as soon as I started, ooh, yay, 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 every woman in the place is singing with me. Every man in the place is singing with me, right? And you just know that, like, that's what I wanted. Now people say, it must have been a big hit. Must have been, because boy, everywhere you play, you sing that song, they go mad for it. I don't even think that thing went into the charts.
Wow.
I don't even think it entered the chart. But it became such a record on the street. Right? And that's where, when I say to people, to me,
more important.
As I said, to have a beginning, like Mama used to say, and then to be able to make a record that ain't even in the charts, but you know that you can't stand on a stage in the UK and not sing that song. People will not have it. Boy, you know what I mean? I like Too Late, boy, I like this, I like that. But Morning Will Come to you. Right? And as I said, never hit a chart. And that's, for me, that tells me that, like, you're still on the right path.
Yeah.
Like, you've not gone and you've not swayed away from what you're supposed to do. And that's any musician. If you're true to your art form, right, then art is about touching people. Right? If it's about making a record, then that's exactly what it is. You just make a record. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, but if it's art, right, then the whole thing is to touch people.
Yeah,
right? To make them feel something, to make them, like you say, I've gone and sung that song and come off stage. There was a woman, the one gig I did, and I came off stage, and when I came off stage, I always come out to say hi and thanks. And she came up and she said that she had cancer, and it was at a bad stage, and she was in the hospital. And the only track that she would play would be Morning Will Come. It will get better. Okay? And she said that song, for 3 months she was in hospital, And she played that song every day, the only song that she played for 3 months. And here she was at my gig.
Wow, mate.
Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying?
There are no words, dude. There are no words to describe that.
What do you say? What do you say to that? You just give thanks.
And it must be the most humbling and empowering thing on the planet, mate.
Of course it is. That's why I say with everything said and done, right? I told you figures about, do you really want my love? 170, right? Yeah, 170 million and so 200 million and what all of these millions and what we call it. But if it's not touching you,
it means nothing.
It means nothing. Thanks for the money.
There are two phrases we all want to hear from the youngest kid to the oldest living person. I got you and I see you. For me, and if your music can say, I got you, or I see you, you might have never set eyes on that person, but if you can write something that people feel that they are seen and they are got, you have saved a life, mate, and that's sacred.
Come on. And that's the key. As I said, for me, that's the key. Remember when we started and we were talking and you say my very beginnings, and I said to you, going to church and watching these people singing and that feeling of joy, that feeling of that smile, the connection with the song that they're singing, right? And you're there watching as a kid, and you're saying to yourself, I want to do that. I want to be able to go somewhere and see people smile, laugh, joke, and your record comes on and they just go absolutely mad, right? And I've had it with Mama, Good Morning, Too Late, Do You Really Want My Love? I've had it, right? And it always does the same thing, which is down the back here, it starts to go cold, right? And I always try and put myself in a corner completely away from everybody to absorb what they're doing. And when the DJ's gone like a verse and a half in, and draw up, man, pull up, and the place is going mad, and they start it again, and the whole place is singing the lyric. Some people not even knowing what the lyric is; they just know the melody, right? And you see that you've done what you wanted to do. You wanted to touch.
Yeah, it's a spiritual.
It's a spiritual thing for me. It always has been, and that's, as I said, that's coming from the actual going to church and seeing that.
Yeah.
Moving out of that and going into the sound system thing, seeing that, right? Going on stage and playing your music to people who they ain't there for that, but then you come off, right? And they can't clap you, but they touch you and make it, man, like that shit. Like that. You know that what you're doing is the right thing. You're touching people, right? And yes, we all need to make money in this business, because if you're making money, then you're able to continue, right? And so it's silly to turn around. I don't want to make no money. Rubbish. We want to make money.
Absolutely.
At the same time, money is not the driver, right? Money is just the compensator. Thank you very much. Hey, but it's not the driver. Now, there is lots of people in this industry who it's the driver. Well, everything is about making that next buck, that next dollar. I need the next gold ring. I need the next chain. So the whole thing is about the materialistic. I've got the big house. I've got the swimming pool. I've got the Lamborghini. I've got the Porsche. I've got the this. I've got the that. I've got the Maybank. I've got the blah, blah. Everything's about the materialistic. Materialistic to me is rubbish, because there's nothing that you have materialistically that when your day comes that you can take.
And you can lose it as fast as you get it.
You can lose it, right? So to me, right, everybody says you're more family. Yes, I am. I am very much family. I'm about people. I'm about those people around me that love me, I love. Those people out there that have been able or stayed with me when I play my gigs. I see people that have been there, been coming to my gigs for the last 30 years. It's wonderful. Right? You know what I'm saying? I always, you could be anywhere else, but you're with me. You've not left me. You've not said, what, Archer, Look at this, Junior. They still come out. They still want to see. They still enjoy. And I'm still able to touch. So for me, that's the blessing. That's the blessing that I've been given, to be able to continue to touch you.
And long may you rule, dude. What is the future for? I mean, if you know, I'm a little bit clairvoyant, and I do possibly see there might be a Jaden collaboration in 26, 27. But apart from that, what is, mate? That would make my bleeding life. That would. What is the future for Junior? What is going on? What are your plans?
I'm not really sure. I'm to be honest, I live day to day now. I don't try and plan anything. Best made plans are made to fail, you know, my friend.
Well, true that.
You know what I mean? So I try not to go down that line.
No expectations, no disappointments.
None.
My life motto.
None. I used to, when my brothers and sisters would sit down at the table and having dinner or whatever else, and we'd have these conversations. And my sisters would be like, you know, you must have expectations. You must expect that when you do this, you're going to get that. And I'm like, it is. The only thing I expect is that, like, if I've spoken to a promoter and he says X amount, I expect to be paid X amount. Yes. Yes. But the rest of it, in terms of life, right? I just want to live. I want to be happy. I want to have fun with the people that I love, right? And I want to know that I was here. I want to leave something that says I was here. Other than that, I have no expectations. I have a bunch of kids. The kids turn around. What did you expect from us? Nothing. I just want you to be happy.
Yeah, sure.
Right? You know, yeah, but you know, one works in the record industry, right? She's in publishing, right? The other one, right, is a football coach. The other one, right, lives in America and he's doing his thing out there, right? And they all ask about expectations because they still, to this day, right, it's like, can't get you, you know, Dad, right? You must have some kind of expectation. What did you expect me to be? Happy. Yeah. I know you want happiness, but...
I mean, like a job.
Yeah, you know, and I'm like, why should I, what? I should expect you to be a lawyer or this, so that I can turn around and say, oh, my son's a lawyer, or my son's a doctor. Oh, why? That's all rubbish, right? You're going to have children, right? The main thing is that they're happy, right? That they're living a life, they're not hurting anybody, right? But they themselves are happy.
They're being their
Not many people are out here.
Absolutely.
Come on, not many people out here are happy. They're just living. A lot of people are just living. Yeah. They're not happy. They may have happy moments, right? Something's happened, maybe a birthday, maybe some gathering or what we call it. So they have a moment, right? I've tried to live my life happy. So I don't really, you know, people, oh, I'm depressed. My record came out and it didn't happen. That was when I was a kid, right? When I was a kid and I'm still trying to find myself, right? Because I had expectations.
Yeah.
I expected that this guy was going to go in and speak to the record company. He never did. I expected that, like, when I went there, I had all the qualifications to get that job. I never got it. But there was these expectations all the time. As soon as I kicked the expectations to the left, it's like people say, like, so how many gigs are you going to do for the year? Don't know. Yeah, but, you know, come on, you've been doing it for X amount of years. You must have a thing whereby you know that you're going to do 3 gigs a month or 5 gigs a month, or I really don't care and I don't know. Right? And like, what do you mean you don't care? I don't care. I would rather watch my boys play some football, right? I would rather be on a beach. I would rather, do you get what I'm trying to say? I don't put my head anywhere where I'm going to be stressed. Yeah. And I've got the world that I live in. Because of expectations, people are stressed. We have, for instance, in the UK right now, kids, when I was a kid, you could buy a house between 20 and 25, yeah? Right? If you had a little job, enough money coming in, you could get yourself a little 2-bedroom, basement. Now, It ain't happening. So you watch these kids and they're depressed. You watch these kids who look at their life and say they have no life. You watch these children look at the fact that, like, how am I going to get from A to B? How am I going to, what is my life now? I'm 35. Right? I'm still at home with my mum and dad. Right? The expectations of life that you, politicians, people in higher places, that you put on these children. And then when they go off the rails and they have mental issues, you turn around and it's a bit like saying, you can't cope. You can't deal with the world. The world is not like it was when we were young. Right? And the expectations, they poor things, they have none. And when I say you don't have any expectation, what I mean is you've given them you told them to go to university, come out with various pieces of paper, and they could get a job. Most of them work in McDonald's.
And they come out with a debt that will never allow them to.
They never allow them to do anything.
It's a not. I think people like you have got it spot on, mate. You really need to.
Wicked thing.
Have no expectations and find the beauty in it. I was living on a boat. I mean, it's quite funny. Before I left for Mexico, I was living on a boat. And because there was no way I could afford I was looking after disabled adults and teenagers. Right. So my really shittily paid. So I wouldn't be able to even afford a rent to live near my family in West London. But I was living in a boat, and in West London, the apartments that were looking at my boat as part of their pretty view was over $2,000 a month rent.
Right.
Whereas I was lucky. I wasn't lucky my father died, but I was lucky I had some inheritance that I was able to buy myself a boat. But I had the same view. In fact, I could feed those ducks from my little window, and I was paying 50 quid. You know, but if I'd stayed in England, I wouldn't have been able to afford to get through a winter with heating and all this kind of stuff. It would have been impossible.
It's impossible, Jaden, and but the expectation you put on these children, right? Yeah. You go to school, you must get O levels. Right, from your O levels, you go to college or you go to uni. You've got to get a first. You've got to. So all of this build up that you've given them, right? And then what? Nothing.
Nothing. No support.
They can't get the job they want.
No.
They can't get a mortgage. No. Right? Because there's no way they could work and get 50 grand or 60 grand to pay down upfront money.
Absolutely.
So they're waiting for mum and dad to die to be able to get that money.
Yeah, or tragic.
Mum and dad say, you know what, we're going to downsize. So we'll take out some money. We'll sell the house. Here's 50 grand. Go and buy somewhere. Again, right? There isn't enough people around to be able to do that. Jay.
No, mate. And it's not only that, but mum and dad will pass on, and then you have to give 50% inheritance tax, or mum and dad will downsize. And you've got to pay it. Like, it's just, it's almost for me, and we could talk hours about the politics at the moment because it's screwed everywhere. But it's almost like saying, right, I'm giving you the ingredients to make a chocolate cake, but I'm only giving you a loaf of bread, orange marmalade, and a pint of milk. But my expectation, if you want to succeed, is to have a chocolate cake out of that.
Right. And that's what you're doing to these children.
Yeah.
And that's why, as I said, for me, expectation is not the thing that I work with. I don't work nowhere near it. Not interested in it. Right? Somebody turn around, right? Well, the classic for me was when you're a kid and it's like, you're going out with a girl and some guy comes on the set and the guy starts talking to your girl and everybody's looking at you like saying, so what, aren't you going to say something? Aren't you going to say something? And you stand there and you're like, well, boy, everybody's expecting me to say something, so I better say something, right? And then you go up and you start a fight, you start a ruckus, right? Over this girl, right, who maybe a year down the road, you finished with.
And she's not even dating him either.
Thank you. Do you get what I'm trying to say, right? Because you don't know what the future has to hold, right? Now you turn around and you say like, well, boy, if she's talking to him, if she likes him, she can go. Yeah, but ain't that your girl? Yeah. Right? Yeah, but, You should fight for her. Fight for what? If you want to be with me, you'll be with me. If you don't want to be with me, you will go.
And that's a whole waste of a fight.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But it is, I'm not here to justify my relationship with you, right? And if you, as a woman, right, are saying, well, that shows me that you don't love me, you don't care for me, again, your expectation.
Yeah.
I'm not living in your expectations because I don't have any, right? My expectations are you and I are together and it's good. So if it's good, let's just keep it making it good. Let's keep watering the flower.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, so that it continues to grow. Right? Now, if you feel because one winter it was really bad, right, and the flower kind of started to go like this, that like I'm supposed to fight to keep this up like this? No, man. Everything is in seasons. So if it goes like this, it will grow. If we prune it and look after it, it will grow. But if there's an expectation that you must, it will never grow.
No.
Because you're pushing it into an area, right, that it's not that time.
Not the cycle.
It's not right. Yeah. You know. So
and if you don't water it and still understand that there is a process, then, well, go and buy another flower, mate.
Go and buy another flower.
Not going in my pot.
Come on. And that, you could, I think that's where I'm at. I think it's just being real about everything out there. You know what I'm saying? It's an
age thing though, mate. I've got to be honest. Because even, I'm in my early 50s now, and my biggest lesson was my life was constantly full of disappointments, and they were constantly full of disappointments because I always had expectations.
Expectations, yeah.
For me, it was like downsize my friendship group, no people, no problems, no expectation, no disappointment. So the people that I have, I'm not even into this kind of, they're my tribe, man. They're just people that get me and resonate with me, and we're on that level in this moment. We might not be in each other's lives in 10 years, but that's beautiful. We passed this
moment, beautiful too.
And it's great. Yeah, absolutely, man.
It's beautiful too, because you, like, if you understand how life works for you, right? Seasons.
Everything's transient. Everything, including our whole existence, mate.
The whole existence, and if you can log that in here, right? Then peace of mind is your key.
Yeah.
Right. And if you don't understand that, then what you do is you keep searching, and when you keep searching, you don't know what you're searching. Right. So the key, right, is to unlock peace of mind. Mm-hmm. Peace of mind is to stay far from expectation. Yep. Peace of mind, right, is to be into things that make you happy.
Now. Be in the now. Yeah.
Absolutely. Be now. Be now. Boy, you know, I used to, when I was a kid, I used to sit down and I said, like, next week I'm going to do this. The week after next, I'm going to go here. This, really? I would tell my mates, right, back in the day, screw it, I'm going France. When you going France? Who's in France? I don't know, I'm going France. When are you leaving? Today. What? What do you mean? Have you got any to? No, but it's going to be cool. Yeah, right, you're having a laugh, Jude, right? You must prepare yourself. You must. Really? I go into meetings. I have people, and I'm supposed to go to a meeting, and they're like, right, have you done everything? Like what? Do you know what you're going to say? Do you know? No, I ain't got a clue. How are you going to take this meeting and you're not sure what you're going to say? No. Because I'm not geared up to stress myself on it.
Yeah.
I'm geared up to hear what you got to say. Right? And after what you're saying, I am quick enough to be able to gauge, right, and be able to move with it or not. Right? Yeah, but it could be a chance for your career. You could, it could blow you up again. Hear what you just said? Blow you up again. Which means that you already know I've already blown up. Mm-hmm. Why would I want to be blown up again? What's that about? That's you looking at me on the basis of an expectation of me blowing up again.
Absolutely.
I look at me on the basis of I want to touch you again.
Yeah.
So it's a different thing. I'm not looking to try and have a hit record. I'm not looking to be on Top of the Pops when it used to go. I'm not looking to be on a TikTok sensation. I'm not looking to be on Facebook and everybody. I'm not looking to have a million pictures on Instagram, right? And everybody, oh, wow, I love. Come on, Jesus Christ. Before these things came around, we had a phone that we used to talk to one another.
Mm-hmm.
We had a camera that took pictures that we kept, right? We understood what privacy meant.
Yeah.
Right? Now you're being told what privacy is. Mm-hmm. So you put yourself on a platform and then you put private, but then you're talking about yourself. So it's not private, is it? How can it be? You're allowing people to be able to critique who you are. And then you don't like when they say they don't like what you put up. And, well, it's private, isn't it? What do you understand about the word private?
Yeah.
Right? All of these things, like, you know, as you say, it's age. All of these things you see. So if you want to be private, you wouldn't be putting up your private being on platforms for it to be critiqued. So where is the logic?
It's a different mentality, mate.
Exactly. So, but I want to stay in mine. So
yeah, it's safer.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm with you, dude. I'm with you.
You get what I'm saying? I don't put myself there. Right? If you want to critique me on my work. I've got no problem with that. Right? Because that's what I do. Yeah. That's why I put myself there. That's what I'm
putting out. Yeah.
Thank you. But private is mine.
Yeah.
So when I used to say to people, when I first got on Facebook, I used to turn and I used to say to people, please don't put pictures up of me on Facebook. And everybody come back like, why? I don't see anything wrong with it. And I'd say because the platform owns your pictures.
Yeah.
So anything that you put on there, they own. So if they were to close down tomorrow, all the things that you put on there, they own. So they can sell that to whoever they want to sell it to, right? Yeah, but now we're in a different time, a different space, it's a different world. Yeah, I get all of that. But please don't. Then you see a million pictures of yourself. And then you see Getty. And Getty now owns these pictures. Now, Getty took none of my pictures, but Getty owns it, and they're charging people £200, £300.
Yeah, I had to pay for my Getty image.
Thank you. Right, do you get what I'm trying to say?
I've only got one.
No, but this is what I'm saying. It's madness.
Yeah,
right?
man.
And that's why I say, you know, you look at those are the things that I look at. Now, again, stressed out. I don't get stressed out. I'm not bothered. Good luck to you. Getty took it. Let me just crop that shit, right? And put it back out. It's mine. It ain't yours, Getty.
Yeah.
Right? And we can go to court on it too. Which one of your people took that picture? Hello? What? Who? You get what I'm trying to say? Understand, it's like saying, just really saying, understand the world that you're living in. And it's really easy. Right? If you don't understand the world that you're living in, then you chat shit. You chat about materialistic stuff. You chat about stuff that has no bearings, no relevance at all to your being.
Yeah.
Right? I go away in the world and people turn around and they're like, wow, you should be in first class. Why? Why? Because you feel from what you see that would be the expected thing. If I choose to be in first class, I'll be there. If I choose to be in economy, I will be there. Like when I tell people, if I choose to do a gig for nothing, it's my choice.
Yeah.
If I choose to do a gig for $1 million, it's my choice. Absolutely. Now you turn around and you say that can't be because you see, we need to know how much you go out for. That means that you are dictating to me what you feel I am worth. How dare you? How dare you?
Yeah.
You're now telling me my worth, right? So, all right, you're going out and you want 20 grand. Right? I don't think that you're worth 20 grand. Then go get somebody else. I don't give a shit. Right? That's me. Right? Now somebody else will say, well, you know, I'll do it for 15, or I'll do it for 10, or I'll do it for 5. That same guy that got you for 5 knows the guy who's turning around and saying that he wants you for another gig. So what happens is he goes to you. I've told him 20. You've turned around and said, I got him for 5, mate. Jesus Christ. Right? So that guy comes back and says, like, come on, Jesus Christ, you know, I haven't got 20 grand. Don't come to me then. Go to somebody else. Yeah, people want you.
That guy's only ever going to be worth 5 grand.
And you put yourself there because of them telling you what you are.
What you have to do,
Yeah. So I don't play none of those games. I don't play those games. I play for what I want to play for. You can get me for $1 grand at the same time you can get me for $1 million.
Yeah, it's case specific, right?
It's down to me. Right? It's not down to anybody else to determine how you live or what your worth is in this life. We live in a world whereby people, that's what they do. Hence why I said loads of kids mashed up mentally, right? Because they've been told you need to get this paperwork. And when you get it, you'll be able to come out and get 50 grand on this job, 60 grand. They go for the job and they say 25. You're shattered. I was told that you're getting 60. I get 60.
Well, we found someone in the European community that would do it cheaper.
Do you get what I'm saying? So I kind of push all of that to one side, Jaden. Not interested.
Stay your authentic self and have no expectations. I mean, this is it, really, isn't it? In a world that is almost contradictory to all of that.
Yeah, long and the short. If you, it's walking in your light is what I call it.
Absolutely.
Walking in your light.
Absolutely.
Right? Not a light that's shone on you.
No.
Yours.
One you radiate.
Well, you radiate. If you can do that, you're fine.
Yeah.
I'm living in a country whereby, unfortunately, the youth aren't able to do that.
No.
Right? So the youth are in peril at the present moment in this country.
Yeah.
And people, it's classic stuff in this country because it's like, you know, knife crime. We have
through the roof.
Huge. Mate, it's gone clear. But the way, just to show you that certain things never change, the way it's projected as a crime that black people are committing.
Right.
But if you look at the actual figures, 63% of knife crime is white people.
Yeah.
Right?
Does that matter? It's carry on the same old bloody story, isn't it?
You know what I'm saying? When you break it down, it hasn't changed. They may try and project change. But if you, again, diversity and inclusion, what does that mean to a person like me? I was born in England, right? And now you're telling me at the ripe old age of that, like, you're going to include me, and you can see that I'm diverse. And I'm supposed to be so happy because you now recognize.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God.
Oh, I've now got my place. Thanks.
I've got my place now. Oh, you know, it hasn't changed.
No.
Right? When you break.
But it has, on some level. The only thing that's changed is now people like your good self and that others have the ability to be able to speak against the establishment and say, look, what you are being fed is a line of crock, mate.
Of course it is.
You know, but back in the day, you were going to be hushed no matter what. At least now, there are more people, I think, especially in the last 4 or 5 years, that are kind of disbelieving the bullshit of the powers that be a little bit more. I think we're becoming a little bit more questioning about, you know, what we're actually being fed on.
I think it's,
on different levels.
I think people, but you see, my thing is, I hear what you're saying, because I still see so many people still being fed the TikToks, still being fed the Instagram, still being fed the Blu-rays, still being fed on all of these platforms, and still looking at the X's. They still look at these platforms as being so incredible, and without, it's like they're so a part of their lives that they're just unable, right, to get it. You're being fed, right, crap. It's like food. You're being pesticides within your food.
Yeah.
Various things within the water, right? And, you know, it's like somebody says to me, like, you know, but it's spring water. And I turn and say, yeah, but it's coming out of a plastic bottle.
Yeah.
And they say,
or it's coming out of a copper pipe that was put underground before the war, mate.
Thank you. Right? And you're drinking it, and then you've got the gall to want to tell me that it's spring water. I don't drink tap water. When I used to turn and tell people, I'm going back 20 odd years, 30 years, that like, hey, you do realise that there is soft water and hard water. And everybody used to laugh at me. What are you talking about, soft water? I said, Dave, I can show you. I've read it through my letterbox, right? Do you want soft or hard water? Right? That should tell you alone. Water should be water. Yeah. How can it be soft and how can it be hard?
That's the difference between London and Devon, mate.
Thank you.
Even in your own country, you can go and have a soft water shower or a hard water shower.
Or a hard water shower.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? Madness. But you won't believe it because you can't believe that people will do that. And I'm saying, believe it. We live in a world where what you think people won't do is exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
So
everything we've been told is lie, pretty much.
Because if you turn around and you look at the fact that, like, organic food, why is organic food more expensive than the others? Well, organic is from the earth, right? It's supposed to be from the earth. It's supposed to be real food. It's supposed to be no pesticides, no this, that, and unturned. Suppose, you hear what I'm saying? Suppose, which gives you what? Expectation.
Yeah. It's funny, I was going to go and buy some organic stuff from a local park where I lived in West London.
Right.
And I kind of got there, I'm like, okay, so it might not have the tick chart of the chemicals that were in the oil, but the planes fly over near Heathrow so low, you can see the registration number on the chassis of the plane, and they're dumping their shit. So it might not have chemical A, B, and C from the earth, but everything here is covered in bloody airline fuel. So how can it be organic? But it's 20 quid for a fucking turnip, you know?
Thank you. Right? So you exactly what you're doing. You've got to laugh.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it gets you into that whole.
Absolutely. You've just got to almost breathe through it, mate. Find beauty in every day. Be your authentic self. No expectations.
Breathe. Yeah, breathe. Laugh at it. Don't make it an issue that defines your life.
Absolutely. Or be conscious of changes you can make. You know, I now live on the mountains in Mexico, one of the poorest states in Mexico.
Right.
I grow a lot of my own food. I eat my own eggs from the chickens that I raise and the ducks that I raise. And even though I still have to drink from a plastic bottle because that's the only way I can get water, but it's about having an awareness and making the changes without the stress of,
that's the beauty. That's what I'm saying.
Something about, you know, like if you want to make changes, you can. It's about being aware, being authentic, but again, without the stress involved.
Without the stresses. And as I said, once you kick the stress, you have no expectations. No expectations, a happier man, a happier woman, a happier child.
Absolutely. And happy other people around you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because you're not expecting anything from anyone. You're living with everyone. Hey, how you choose to live is how you choose to live. I'm not here to determine how you should live.
I'm going to be voting Junior as Prime Minister. You do realise this? I think you're on a whole different path than what you should be on, dude. Sub the singer. Run this pissing country. Sort this shit out, mate. I said, I'm going to start a campaign.
Be like, yeah, right. Sort it out, son. Come on.
Junior, I cannot thank you enough for spending time with me today. Like, you're such a diamond guy. I said your stories have, I've lived through every single one of them, and they have tickled me pink, dude. Like, I'm never going to get the Stevie Wonder falling off a drum stool. That is going to live with me, and that's going to be read out at my bloody funeral. That one, that's one of the best.
I tell you what, I wish I'd actually taken when we were there. Right, I wish I'd actually taken a picture of it.
It would have gone viral for that, mate. If a big TikTok had been around.
Oh man, I wish I'd had a picture of that one, because that one, do you know when you're there and it's like, oh my God, and everybody's rushing in the street, oh, and this guy side off, right, just about to drop on the floor, cracking up, and you're trying to pull him up, and he's telling you while you're pulling up, damn, Junior, you stole that from me, I stole that from Tim stole that. And you're like, yeah, great. Let me
but just get up, please, because you're going to hurt yourself, dude. Mate, you deserve the name legend, because really you are such an incredible guy, and I cannot wait. Expectations or no expectations, I've been following your journey before, as a kid, and then when I met you at Bethesda, and I will continue to follow. And
thank you.
You're being your authentic self, and that is the biggest blessing, mate. It really is. Thank you so much for being Junior.
Hey, thank you for having me on, mate.
Pleasure.
I enjoyed it. I really have.
It was the highlight of my hour.
Hey, it's been the highlight of mine too. You stay there.
No, mate. Much blessings to you. Total gratitude. And we're staying in touch. I mean, I'm bugging you on social media.
Definitely. You got me on social. You've got what we call it, Messenger and whatever else. Just
absolutely. I'm going to keep bugging you. And I'm definitely, when I get my little English ass to Blighty again, I'm going to be seeing where you're at, and I'll let you know. I'll come down and check you out too. Junior,
I'm coming over to Mexico in the next couple of months, or
whenever, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Let a brother know, innit? For sure, man. For sure. Okay. Junior, thank you so much. People at home, if you don't love him more than you ever loved him now, then you are cray-cray and you don't deserve that blessing. So if I was you, before you finish your packet of Wotsits and your cheese sandwich, you need to be going onto Junior's social media and giving that brother so much love and support, and checking out his onward journey. No expectations, mind. However, I'm very excited about the new album coming out, mate.
Thanks, man.
Wishing you all the love and luck in the world, mate. You take care. See you soon, bruv.
All the best.
Bye-bye.
Yes. Bye.
Junior, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to come and join me on the Jaden Show. And you lovely people at home, thank you for allowing Junior and I into your private sanctum this Sunday afternoon, or whatever the time is, wherever you are on this wonderful spinning globe of ours. I thank you so much. No offense to all the flat earthers, by the way. And now, if I had my way, the interview probably would have gone on for another couple of hours. I think it's probably the longest chat I've had so far, and I've enjoyed every millisecond of it, and it could have gone on for way longer. Now, I would also want to probably play every single song from that man's library, but I can't, I'm afraid. So I'm definitely going to leave you with 2 more songs before the end of the show. You're going to get Do You Really Want My Love and Too Late at the end of this show. But before I go, I want to again thank you for taking time to watch the Jaden Show. Please subscribe, please share, please like, please comment, tell all your friends, introduce them all to Junior, especially if they've not heard Mama used to say. Oh my goodness, they really do need that education, quite frankly. I would also ask you to have a wonderful week. Be positive, stay beautiful, find beauty in every single day. I thank you for joining me. Please follow me on my social media platforms as well. Definitely follow Junior on all of his social media platforms, and you can go and check out his music on all major download and streaming platforms too. Go and show the brother much love and much support, and you'll be doing your ear holes a huge favor. They will thank you for it as well. Like I said, I'm going to leave you with 2 more songs. I hope you have a really blessed new week. I look forward to seeing you next Sunday on the Jane Show with another incredible special guest. Stay beautiful. See you later.
him.